Planning and Zoning meeting, now formally open. Do we have, okay, citizens comment, huh? What's it?
Well, it's just counting.
We have a quorum.
Yeah, we have a quorum.
We're only missing Emily, because she
Freaking me
got
out,
it.
dude, freaking me out.
Don't do it
He
in
just
your
had to
head.
interrupt, that's what he had to do. Okay, so, the next item on the agenda is citizens' comments. Now, these are comments related, non-related to our, open meetings and any topics pertaining to the open meeting that
Public
we.
hearing. Public hearing.
What's that?
Anything regarding the public hearing.
Oh, not public meeting, public hearing.
This is the open
Yeah,
meeting.
this is an open meeting.
You guys, so detailed. Okay,
It's like a book report.
I know. Well, I'm not good at those either. So, anyway, do we have any? Do we have any
Nothing was called in prior to the
citizen
meeting.
comments? These gentlemen are part of the public hearing. There we go, terminology being everything. So we will move on to the item, agenda item number 3, which is approval of the March 13th meeting minutes. Did everybody have a chance to gander? Any corrections, insights, wisdom? No?
I just had a question. There's a talking about a Kenworth's property.
Yes.
Kenworth Sales.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Just because it's just identified as Kenworth's
Oh,
property.
it's the business
Truck repair.
down below the, adjacent, I think, across the
Across the
road.
street.
Yeah,
Yeah.
from the property in question of the public hearing.
Where is
So
that?
if it's a business, I would suggest using the full name,
Kenworth Sales.
because otherwise it just looks like an individual.
I
Okay.
can go.
Okay.
Well, we all know what it
So-
means.
Yeah, but
I
people 100 years
that.
from now.
That's
anyway.
true.
So,
If that's the only correction, I can make that change.
do we need
That's
to
not a
make
big
a
deal.
motion to make that change, or?
You could motion to approve
Amend it.
the
With the
minutes.
recommended
With the-
change.
yeah, with the
So I will
suggested
make
change.
that motion to approve
We
the.
have a motion.
I
the
will
mi-
second.
Meeting minutes with the correction of Kenworth to Kenworth Sales.
Thank you, Kevin, and we have a second with Gabe. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, there we
Don't
go.
forget
All right, Kath, I gotcha.
There's that delay.
Aye.
Okay, approved. Our next agenda item is the approval of the reason statement of relevant criteria and standards approving zone change application ZNC 24-2 by Joe Greco. And for a refresher, this is to, it's not incorporate, it's the
Annexation.
annexation, thank you, see?
Well, the reason
The
statement that you're
reasons-
approving is for the zone change. The annexation and the comp plan map amendment were,
They were already approved.
yes, you guys did that the last meeting for a recommendation to council. This is just
Okay.
for that reason statement that goes with the zone change.
Which has been drafted, and we are now to vote on it as to forwarding it as drafted.
And I will make a motion to go ahead and approve that reason statement for ZNC 24-2.
I'll second it.
All right, thank you, Kathy. All in favor of approving the reason statement?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No.
Are you abstaining? Yeah. Okay. One abstain.
One abstain. Abstention, is that the formal way to bracket that? Okay. So,
Swords.
agenda item next is the continuation of the public hearing from March 13th, 2024, and subsequent deliberation and direction staff regarding the reason statement of relevant criteria and standards for application ZNC 24-1 by 3D Stout LLC. And as we left it 2 weeks ago, there were some questions, I believe, that were to be answered, which they have been. We've received them. Jennifer, were you gonna restate those for the record?
Again, yes. My name is Jennifer Tangano, Assistant City Attorney for the City of Lewiston. The first question that I'll address is the one from Commissioner Branson in regards to whether or not the adjoining property owners must all consent to the rezoning of the property. There is no provision in city code or Idaho code that requires adjoining property owners to consent to a rezone of a property. There was information within the packet that did describe that as it relates to annexations, specifically a Class 8 annexation, which is what the other public hearing was last meeting, was a Class 8 annexation. So it was likely that that information was just confused. As far as the second one about whether or not the public hearing notices were properly sent, I reached out to Katie. She keeps detailed notes about the mailings and the process that she takes on the backside to ensure that there's compliance with the various requirements with Idaho code. Her and her staff did keep notes that they compiled all the mailings on February 16th and that they had sent them to City Hall and they were presumptively mailed on the 20th. And the reason why I say presumptively is because City Hall has a batch mailing system. I checked the batch mailing codes for the week before and the week of the 20th, and that particular date was the only date that had an excess of the number of mailings required for this particular rezone. We don't keep track of the specific each piece of mail that gets mailed, and so based on that, it's presumed that those mailings were sent on the 20th. Specifically, it was under the Community Development, Planning and Zoning batch code. Community Development has several different batch codes that City Hall uses. It's just to make sure that each particular department gets billed their respective mailing costs. Beyond that, there's not a way for us to determine whether or not a particular piece of mail was mailed because we don't send them by certified or return receipt requested. As far as I can tell, it appears that all of the requirements were done to get the mailings out, and since the neighbor received the mail, it's more likely than not that a mailing was sent to him, and for whatever reason, they either didn't get it or they did get it and didn't realize that that's what the mail was.
Commissioners, do we have statements or questions regarding that second query by our citizen of last meeting regarding the mailings? Okay, I do have one. Katie, how long have you worked in the planning and zoning in the current position you are in?
4 years.
4 years. And in that 4 years, have you used the same tracking system and record keeping regarding public hearings and mailings of such?
For the most part, we have, I would say, improved certain trackings because of people stealing signs and other things. So we have kind of a more really exact process now. So one, everything is tracked by, when emails are get sent out. I can also track, when things are printed in the large batches. Our building inspector is the one who posts the signs on site, and he takes a photo so that it's timestamped with his camera on his phone and then emails that to us so that we can keep that record also. We take a lot of steps to make sure that we are meeting the code properly.
And those steps have been put in place because of previous arguments about receiving or not receiving mailings?
The photos specifically, because like I said, we did have a public hearing where someone physically removed the signs from the posts. And I was alerted to that and went out and saw that that had happened. And someone brought that up at the public hearing that, the site wasn't posted, even though the site had been posted with actual 3 signs because it was a corner lot. And so after that, we started taking the photos. But the rest of the things are kind of just normal part of the process. It has to be done a certain number of days before, so you kind of schedule that for yourself. You know that it has to go in the mailing box by a certain date because it has to go to City Hall because it doesn't get mailed directly from our building. All those processes are kind of just built in whenever we take in an application and we schedule everything out.
Okay, final follow-up question. Since it is then transported over to City Hall for pickup, I'm assuming that there's daily mail pickup at City Hall?
Correct.
Thank you, and that's Monday through Friday during office days?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Any idea when that last pickup is?
It goes out at like 9:30 in the morning.
From your spot or from City Hall?
I don't know when their actual mail pickup is. I
That's
think
fair.
that someone drops it off.
It's in the afternoon
Yeah,
that they do it, because you can drop off your own mail.
Of course.
Yeah, because I think it goes over in the morning and then someone from City Hall physically takes it to the post office, because the city also has a
yeah,
PO box
okay.
at the post office.
Yes.
And then they pick up everything from that PO box and bring it back, and it gets distributed to go back to you the next morning.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
There are businesses in town that do it the same way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
as does the university.
And before that, what happens, once it gets picked up from the various departments, then a staff member goes and does the mailings, because we have a batch system, so we get it at the mailings at a reduced rate. And so they enter it and they do it by department, and there's a department and a sub-department codes for each area, so.
Per piece.
Yeah, so like each time I do a mailing, I send basically a brick, right? And I'll have everybody's label on it, they're all sealed, I rubber band them, and then I'll have a sticky note with what it is and what my planning and zoning mail code is. And that way they program that in so that we get charged for that, and they send it through that batcher to put the printed stamp on it.
Okay. In light of that information, without actually driving it out to individual homes, I believe that there is a pretty tight process and tracking approach. We certainly are not in charge of USPS, but getting it to them seems to be very fixed and routine. So,
And city code also calls out section 37, 194, paren B, paren 4, says failure of any person to receive the notice prescribed in the section above. So that's a section that tells you all those things that I have to do, shall not impair the validity of a hearing. So we can follow all the procedures in the world to make sure that we are processing the stuff out. We do not have to guarantee that they received.
I
Or
appreciate that.
opened it or read it.
Correct.
Okay, so with that said, before, yes.
I do have a follow-up
Yes.
question, actually, if you don't mind. And so for this particular hearing, the property was also posted.
Yes.
So at any time driving past it, anyone could have seen that the property was clearly posted.
In the meeting, if I can respond to that, the citizen that did bring up the concerns and the lack of receipt did in fact comment on the posting on the physical property because
Yeah,
he
that's
was
right.
discontent with the size of the flyer.
That was a different-
That was the other
Oh, it was
hearing.
the next
That
guy.
was the other one, yeah.
Hold
Okay.
on.
Oh, that is correct.
There's my sign right there.
There we go.
There should be, right
So
there.
anyone, so
Okay.
resident.
And actually, there was two on that property just because the span of road is so large, but it's not super safe for me to pull off other places, and I didn't really feel like trekking all the way down. But that is where,
If I were driving that road to and from my home on a daily basis, I would very obviously see it.
You'd
yes.
see something there.
Yes.
You wouldn't be able to necessarily see the
Hey,
words
Could
unless
you
you
read it
stop
from
and
the
look.
car? No. Could you see that something is there? Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Does it meet the statutory requirements for the posting?
Yes.
Yes. It also, and also, it's been established with the code and then with city processes that it also is listed in additional places beyond just a sign and a mailing.
Yes.
So there are other opportunities for either that individual or any other individual to become notified that there's a public hearing.
Yes, and I did confirm the publication. That wasn't necessarily the question that was presented, but I did look at that and it was published on February 25th.
Additional follow-up questions?
The applicant have any rebuttal?
That was my next question, oddly enough.
You're gonna come up and say.
You know, I guess, like, yeah, I thought about it. I'd like to just clear something up, I guess, that,
Name first, sir.
my name is Doug Stout, so I'm the manager of 3D Stout LLC. And this is my son Trevor. I just wanted to follow up, it's just a clarification that he made an accusation about my family not being on board with this. My family's totally on board with this. There's two other brothers and me. Our nephew rents the property. Everybody's on board with this. So I just wanted to make sure that I clarify that with you guys. I don't know where he came up with that accusation. But anyway, that's what I wanted to clarify with you folks, just to make sure that, you know that we're on top of this and on board with this.
Though I appreciate your desire to do that, we are not in any way, shape, or form about your family business.
Correct,
If
and I
you can't
realize
legally sell it, then
Yep,
then
yep,
you
and-
can't legally sell it.
Yeah, but I just wanted to make sure that it didn't cause anything amongst, the committee.
I don't believe that was a concern.
Would do anything, but that's all I had. Katie did such a great job of explaining everything. I don't know what more we could add other than, for us, this is an important piece of property for us to go this route for us, our families, farmers and cattlemen. This is a piece of property that can give this property up. It's not required for cattle or for farming and for anything. And we think this is the best fit, because the port is right next to it and it's gonna be, that they're gonna come to the zoning and ask for that to go from agriculture to port zone. So, and that's right adjacent to it. You got McCann's right below that. That's the same property. I think this area, it's just the fit for what I see or what we feel that this area is going to,
Which is why you're in front of this board,
Exactly,
to do what you choose to with your property.
exactly, yeah, so, yeah.
Thank you. Okay, Kathy?
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stout. Kathy?
Yes, I
you
do
something?
have a question.
Okay,
And maybe for Katie, I would like to see the map again. I want to just see where that residential property is
Sure.
on the map.
Do you guys want me to go through, just for a refresher for everybody, I can go through the presentation again, just, we do have a
Absolutely.
commissioner with us who
It
was
might-
not
yeah,
with us at the
might be
last meeting.
beneficial.
That might be best.
yeah.
Okay,
Wing it.
let's do that.
2 weeks is a long time nowadays.
Right, okay, so as a reminder, property is approximately 17.6 acres, it's vacant ground, does have some cows on it, we'll see some pictures of that. It does have a residential property to the east, so this is 1520 Bassview Drive, right?
Excuse me, could you show us exactly where that residential property to the east? I was confused on that.
It's right here, so see the black outline of the subject property? Residential property is right next
Yes.
door.
Oops.
Although my screen might not be showing, there we go. Okay,
Oh.
so
there we go.
residential property is right next door. This long skinny property here, you can see his house is
Okay.
here and he has this very, very large shop right here.
Right,
So,
okay.
and looking at the zoning map, this kind of neon color covers the subject property again, outlined in black. And then this is where that house is, right? This is where the M1 is, right across the street. This is where Kenworth Sales is, down here at the bottom.
Okay,
There are
gotcha.
some different storage businesses, a couple different joints in here, and then Sutton Salvage, which is owned by the residential property owner, is this up here that is located in the county.
Okay,
So then moving on, pictures of the property itself. So I'm standing at the entrance to Kenworth Sales, so right across the street from subject property, so you can see the cows, hello moo cows, hanging out up there. You can see that there is quite a bit of topography going on, so there's kind of a flat bench area up here. You can see there's kind of some wall sort of situation where the topography of the land goes up quite a bit right there at the roadway. And then there's kind of a draw over here, and then it flattens out where you see the cows. And then looking kind of pivot, you can see this is the single-family dwelling. So it is right next door, if you would call that many hundreds of feet right next door. But it is, their property is fairly large too, you can see on here. So this entirety is their property. They enter their property from the county in all actuality, so they can't enter from Old Spiral Highway. They go up and there's a road that starts way up here. It's a shared driveway situation with the other neighbor that's over here on the corner to enter their property. So then this is the entrance where I'm standing. So Kenworth Sales is down here, and it kind of wraps around this curve that goes right here. You can see their large sign here. So their entrance kind of wraps around and goes around this curve, and they have their offices and truck shop and then the different buildings that they utilize for their business located down there. This is pivoted the other way, so you can see the jail, Bromling Steel is over here, FedEx is a little bit farther back. A lot of this is port property that has not yet been developed. Right below is not owned by the port, I believe that is McCann property. And then there's more port property over on the other side, on the western side of where Old Spiral Highway comes kind of through. And then looking down, so again, here's my sign. Subject property, again, you can see the topography and how it's much taller than the roadway itself. That's all my pictures. Anything else you would like to see?
I have another question. Sure. So bring up that map, that one that's green with the outline, whatever, yeah, that one right there, and the residential house. I see there's a 25-foot setback from the backyard. So what is the setback from a building, an industrial building to the property line?
In the M2 zone, hold on. So the M1 zone only has a requirement for a side or rear yard when abutting a residential